Yo, what is up, Solano? We are here in the lobby here of the gymnasium. Of course, you see all the trophies behind us, of course, and we are here to wrap up this season for sports. Of course, women's softball along with women's basketball, really the two bright spots, along with Solano volleyball this year, really bringing in the medals this year, at least BVC-wise. Kind of a rough season for baseball and basketball, but of course we got to start on with softball. Before we get to that, I'm Zach Poff here with the Big Kahuna, really the co-founder or the founder of SCSN. How's it going, sir?
It's going great, and boy, we're excited to finally bring you our Solano College sports update to conclude the 2014 spring semester here at Solano College. And it was a very special semester, especially for a couple of the women's teams. And let's get right into it and talk a little Solano softball outstanding season for the Lady Falcons.
And this year, I mean, they went 40-4, 20-0 in the BVC. As you see, Bella Falaflini clearing the center field fence right there. But just a remarkable year for the Solano softball team. They won their 9th consecutive BVC title this year and 10th under Terry Pearson-Bloom. 32-game winning streak, longest streak in the entire state this season for the women's softball squad.
You know, Zach, and when you think about this team, I would make the argument this could be, at least in the conversation, one of the best sports teams we've had in the history at Solano Community College, especially when you look at how close they were to getting out of that Super Regionals, getting to the Community College Softball World Series, and their only 2 losses in the playoffs were both to Sierra, the eventual California State Community College champion in softball. So very special season for the Lady Falcons this year.
Yeah, partner book it. This was the best season Solano softball has ever had. It's the furthest they've ever gotten in the postseason. They ended the regular season #1 in the state, tied with Palomar. And you get a look right there, Elena Benapayo. Our girl Chelsea not doing a good job on the spelling there, but I tell you one thing, Benapayo is raking all season long. She finished the year batting .541, 8 bombs, 58 ribbies, 68 runs scored, and a whopping 34 stolen bases this year. She was the NorCal Player of the Year, and just a tremendous year for Elena Benapayo and the Lady Falcons.
Yeah, and the thing that really impresses me about her, she's just like a little spark plug. I mean, you notice there the speed in which she gets around the base pass. Pretty good third baseman as well, also hit force and power. And then also, how about Shannon Mestis, Pitcher of the Year in the state of California. Pretty special year for another freshman for the Lady Falcons.
Yeah, Benapayo was in the top 6 in average runs, triples, RBIs, hits, and stolen bases this season for the state of California. And you get a look right there at Shannon Mestis. I think she was the athlete of the year. If I had to pick one person, this is my girl right here, Shannon Mestis. This chick is bad on the mound.
Yeah, you're not going to get any argument from me, especially after covering the softball playoffs. And not only is she a stud on the mound, she is outstanding with the bat. And boy, that big double that she had against Sierra in that first game.
5-5.
Boy, that was a huge hit in a big moment. I really like what I saw from her, especially under pressure as well. We just hope Mestis is able to make it back and pitch for the Falcons for her sophomore year. She comes all the way from Concord, having to pay that toll bridge each year. That gets a little challenging, especially for community college kids. They're not on scholarship. They're not getting any extra financial aid, any help financially. But boy, I sure would like to see her back for the Falcons.
Yeah, Mestis 23-3 this year, 1.57 ERA, 205 strikeouts and 150 innings plus. No errors defensively also. She had 16 complete games and 7 shutouts. She's like, hey, you know what? You need me to come close, Terry? I got you. I got 2 saves this year. And, I mean, her 23 wins, 6th most in the state, 205 strikeouts, 4th most, 7 shutouts, also 4th. This girl was a beast. Pitcher of the Year in Northern California, and obviously first team All-BVC and Pitcher of the Year.
If her and Benapayo are both back next year, whoa, it's just going to keep getting better for the Lady Falcons. They do lose a couple valuable sophomores.
Brittany Taglieri, Emily Good, just to name a couple.
Stephanie China Rux as well. Those are 3 solid players. China Rux at second base, Taglieri at short, Emily Good out in center. Not only outstanding players, but also really solid sophomore
And this play right here was one of my favorite catches of the year. Haley Iwing getting dirty out in left field, making that stellar catch. And they had a lot of very good plays in the postseason, just kind of fell short a little bit. Maybe a couple plays here and there was a difference, them not winning a state title or at least advancing to the Final Four. But just a really good season for the Solano softball squad.
Yeah, and I think the problem and I think this happens to all of the Solano teams, because most of the teams really do a great job dominating Bay Valley Conference play. It's when you get into the playoffs, and there, because the Bay Valley Conference isn't one of the stronger conferences in California, you run up against a team like Sierra out of the Big 8, and that's both ways. Both softball, you go to men's baseball, that Big 8 conference, equally tough. But you just don't have that experience against really good teams in big games, and it's really hard to really rise to the occasion and deal with the extra pressure that's associated with the playoffs. Wasn't that a snag there by Amber?
I like the dance moves a little better, though, kind of getting jiggy with it, do a little dance move, baby. But it's an impressive year for Solano. 40-win season, 20-0 in the BVC, a 32-game winning streak. Terry Pearson-Bloom did an outstanding job managing the Solano softball team this year. Well, let's go ahead and move it out. Let's talk some men's baseball now. And a little bit of a disappointing year maybe for Scott Stover. They made the playoffs 6 of the last 8 years, but one of those was the years they missed it this year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the highlights for the men's baseball season. We started out with some of the top plays of the year, so let's go ahead and break this down. Boom! Faulkner with the blast. 3-run bomb. One of 4 home runs hit this year for Solano, so the pop really wasn't there in the lineup this year, but one of the bright spots. Trevor Faulkner, one of the sophomores leaving, batted over 320 this year, and his lone home run on the season. They're just a very good kid on the field and in the classroom.
Yeah, there you see Rubalcaba, the shortstop, the freshman
That's
out
my
of Bandon.
guy.
Boy, really looking forward to watching him play again next year. But Trevor Faulkner, also one of the leading hitters in the Bay Valley Conference this year. Outstanding power.
TJ Morris with one of the catches of the year, and that cracked the top 10 list. Of course, you'll be able to see that as we wrap up the show. This play right here
should have been the top 10.
Should have been in the top 10.
We missed it.
I was very disappointed. My guy, Alvaro Rubalcaba. Look at that, and the throw. It did help that Spanky was running down the first baseline a little bit, but Rubalcaba, this kid is sick with the leather.
Yeah, he's always had the defense. He just struggled hitting starting the season under the Mendoza line at 200, but once he got into conference play, really kind of picked it up. I think he ended up hitting about 250 on the season.
There's the Hebrew hammer with the walk-off hit right there.
Another big hit, Jacob Pavlovsky there. That was one of the big highlights for the Falcons, and it was funny. We even talked about this in the broadcast, kind of an errant throw. Cost Solano a run in the previous inning. Pavlovsky comes back. Big hit there, walk-off win for the Falcons. And they ended the season fairly strong. They were 5-5 overall.
This is the guy to pay attention to going into next year, though, Chris Rost. And he only made 2 starts, both Taylor part end of the year. And he went 13 innings, only 1 earned run in those 2 starts. Really should have had 2 wins. The Pavlovsky walk-off was one of the wins that he didn't get, but they still pulled out the game. But this guy was money coming in down the stretch. I mean, this year he was 2-2 with the ERA at 1.49. So this is a guy that could maybe build on front end of the rotation next year.
Yeah, I really like Solano when you look at the potential for them to be successful next year. Ton of freshmen this year. And part of the problem, just the freshmen didn't develop as fast as Coach Stover probably thought they were. But a lot of those freshmen, Rubalcaba, also TJ Morris at second base.
And you got to look at Dylan Dumape right there, another lefty freshman that'll be coming back next year. So they have 2 guys in the staff that they can kind of build on
and I think
go
Nathan
from there.
Genest also is a guy that pitched pretty well. I think you're looking at potentially 3 starters set for the Falcons. Have to check with Coach Stover, obviously. But I think when you look at their pitching coming back next year, pretty solid. Defensively, shortstop Rubalcaba, TJ Morris at second. They're really going to need some work. They're going to need some guys on the corners, little help in the outfield as well. Nick Perez, though, he'll be back as well. Outstanding year for the freshman out of Rodriguez.
Yeah, Nick Perez ended the year batting .318, 1 homer, 18 RBIs. The kid reached base safely in 27 of 34 games this year, and I don't think he was a guy that really Stover might have thought was going to be the big offensive production guy, but he really stepped into that role. And it'll be important, though. I mean, Stover usually does a very good job recruiting the top talent here in the Solano area. And I know it helps, too, as you get a look right there at Rubalcaba. And Rubalcaba really ended the year strong, .263 average this year. But in the last 14 games, he was 19 out of 58 with a .327 average, and he had a hit in 13 of those final 14 games. And we already know how good this kid is with the leather.
Yeah, so he's going to be a fixture at the shortstop position. I think also for Solano, a little disappointing for some of the sophomores. Maybe didn't have the years that was expected. Tucker Bishop, David Fernandez. Boy, but David Fernandez, he had to pretty much play everywhere. He was closing,
I think him coming in closing really hurt his offensive production, and he really started to get it going towards the end of the year. Batted .299 this season. Faulkner, one of those sophomores also. Tucker Bishop was a guy I thought would be a lot better this year. He was a preseason All-American, and it just didn't pan out for Tucker Bishop this year, but I really like that kid a lot.
Good kid.
And Drew Lamont, another sophomore that's gone. He went 2-2 this year with an ERA just under 5. So really not the year Drew Lamont thought he was going to have also, too. So we'll have to wait and see. Kyle Stafford, another guy. Ryan Ernest, Angel Lara, all sophomores gone. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, Rubalcaba and Nick Perez are two guys they can really build the offense around. And then we mentioned earlier Chris Ross and Dylan Dumape, two guys they can kind of build the rotation around. And Stover does a good job getting a ton of good freshmen coming in. So we'll see where the baseball season goes this year. They finished in 7th place out of 8 this year, 11-24 record, 9-12 in the BVC. It's the worst season they've had under Stover since 2005. Well, it's time to go from the diamond to the hardwood, baby. Time to talk a little hoops. And with that, we got to roll the women's basketball highlights. I mean, this team was fun to watch. TP3 and Denisha Lundy, two of the best players in all of Northern California. They became the second teammates in Solano hoops history, actually the third teammates to be named to the All-State team. So a very entertaining year for the Lady Hoops and Matt Borchert this season.
Boy, year of streaks for the women. You know, the softball team, 32-game win streak. But now you look at women's basketball, they actually had an 18-game win streak until they lost to Fresno. You just saw the clip there in the second game, round 2 in the playoffs. And Fresno went all the way to the championship game and lost to the eventual champion Ventura College.
So the same thing happened with the women's basketball team, except Fresno didn't win the championship. Same thing happened with softball, of course, as Sierra won it all. But they won their 6th BVC title since 2006. As you mentioned earlier, that 18-game winning streak, a new school record for Solano. Hamilton and Lundy they were fabulous to watch. I mean, these girls can ball. They can hang with the best of them. Both got 4-year scholarships, too, going to continue their basketball playing careers.
Also, Ariel Clay getting a scholarship as well, I believe, to Holy Names. Teron Morrison, we'll talk about him a little bit later when we get to basketball. Also a scholarship to Holy Names. Ariel Clay, All Bay Valley Conference, second year in a row. She was an outstanding player. But what really gets me excited about women's basketball, you look at the players leaving, as you mentioned, Taylor Hamilton, Denisha Lundy, also Ariel Clay, and Nicole will be leaving as well.
Nicole White,
thank you. But you look at the freshmen coming back next year, they are going to have a good nucleus for another successful year.
Yeah, Nikki Andaya, Laura Lawson, Justice Robinson, Audrey Jones, and Kristen Voiles, along with Kara Beecham. So those are 6 solid players you can kind of build on. I think Nikki Andaya is going to kind of be the star next season. She finishes this year averaging 8.5 points, 3 dimes, and nearly 3 rebounds per game. But this was one of the best teams. I think it actually was the best team under Matt Borchert here. I mean, just Hamilton and Lundy alone, and you throw in a girl like Ariel Clay and all the solid role players they had. It was a very fun year to broadcast women hoops this season.
Yeah, the Solano Gymnasium on Friday nights, I mean, that was the place to be. There was a lot of excitement.
There's not much more on Friday nights in Fairfield, though. So,
well, it was certainly fun. And the Solano women's basketball team, man, what a fun brand of basketball to watch. And I also like what they did this year. They had a lot of theme nights here at the Solano Gymnasium.
Did you get involved in any of them, though?
Well, we were doing the broadcasts and stuff. You know, I think for military, I might have wore some camouflage socks or something like that. But all in all, real impressed with what we saw from the community support. Boy, you want to get out here and support Solano basketball because it's really a fun brand of basketball, especially as you can see the Lady Falcons here. They move the ball around, and they can put the ball in the hoop. There you see Nicole White.
And real quick before we wrap up women's basketball section, Taylor Hamilton going to Our Lady of the Lake University out in San Antonio, Texas. And it's pretty crazy. The coach there used to be the former Vacaville High School girls and boys coach, Chris Miner. So somebody Matt Borchert's very familiar with, so it'll be kind of easier for Taylor Hamilton to go out all the way to Texas and ball for Chris Miner. But it's nice that he has kind of the 707 background. And Lundy, of course, she is going to ball for St. Gregory's University out in Oklahoma. And very impressive to see what Taylor Hamilton and Lundy did this season, along with Ariel Clay, all 3 first-team BVC members. And before we wrap up the show, we got to talk a little men's hoops action. They were a little inconsistent this year, but at times they really came out and balled. And Coach Nagel, I mean, one of the classiest guys you're ever going to meet. But this year they were under 500, I think, for the 6th or 7th consecutive season.
Yeah, once again, it's just consistency for the men's basketball team. Really some exciting players. Ryan Sondai also. You had Teron Morrison underneath, one of my favorite players the last 2 years, Jamari Moss. We'll see a dunk of his when we get to the top 10 plays of the year a little bit later.
Don't worry, we'll see it here in about 20 seconds.
It's coming up, that's right. And that was a big game against Merritt. But the Solano basketball team just kind of streaky. They had some moments, but just really maintaining it. There you see the Moss dunk there.
And that's probably the craziest the crowd got all season watching men's hoop squad. And our boy Money Mike running the board for us here today. You got to listen to his call on the SC Top 10. Jam! That's the next one. Ryan Sondy knocks in that crazy three. But getting back to Ryan Sondy, I mean, he had a really good season. 14 points a game, nearly 40% from deep, 80% free throw shooter. And there's his bank job right at half.
At the half.
And his last 10 games, kid averaged 19 points a game, had 5 20-point games. So Ryan Sondy really was a guy that was fun to watch for Solano. That was one of my favorite plays of the year. Donovan Smith, the freshman, with the steal, throws behind the back, no look, TPN material right there. And Donovan Smith is a guy that is pretty much the only freshman coming back that did any production last year. Averaged 9 points a game, scored in double figures in 5 of the last 7. So he kind of got hot towards the end of the year. Maybe can ride that in to next season. But guys like Jamari Moss, Corey Duran, Tim Moore, and Caleb Bonds only played 5 games. I think that really hurt them a lot. They lost their size early on in the season. They just really could never
They were
regroup.
Looking good at the start of the season. We had Teron Morrison, 6'7", Caleb Bonds, 6'8". I think 5 games in, Caleb Bonds, I think there was a death in the family, ended up having to quit the team, and I think that really, more than anything else, had an impact on this squad.
And Solano, they finished 6th in the BVC this year, 11-16 record, 7-9 in the BVC. So they're getting a little better each year. So see if they can maybe take that jump next season. But we'll see who Nagel kind of gets to come ball for the men hoops next year. And congrats to Teron Morrison. He's going to ball for Holy Names out in Oakland. And he's already the tallest player on the roster, 6'8" and 200 pounds. So I think that played a big role in why he's going to ball for Holy Names. He just has that size.
He brings a lot of personality, too. Great guy to have in the locker room. Really good kid. And he's the type of player, you need something, he's going to go out and he's going to try to get it for you. So best of luck to Jamari Moss, one of the more likable players that we've had come through the Solano Gymnasium for the men's basketball team.
Well, partner, that wraps up this season for Solano Sports. Another very entertaining season. And most of the time, how it always is, women usually somehow do better than men. And that was the case again this year. Women's hoops, women's softball, and volleyball. I mean, those were all BVC champs right there.
Yeah, and I think, too, if you look forward to the fall, you've got women's soccer, a lot of freshmen coming back. Also, new coach from the Brazilian national team, Cici. You know, if the coach is from Brazil and has just one name, you know you have a pretty good coach. So should be a really exciting year also for Solano soccer for the women. So we want to thank all of you here at the Solano College Sports Network. It's been an outstanding year. We want to thank you, our viewers. We also want to thank all the coaches and players just for being so accessible. It's really been great collaborating with all the sports teams here at Solano. Boy, if you're watching this and you're thinking about a place to continue your education and keep playing sports, just getting ready to graduate high school.
Right here, baby.
You want to come here to Solano Community College. First, you're going to get coverage that you're not going to get anywhere else from the Solano College Sports Network. But also great teachers, coaches, they're going to work with you. They're going to help you get to that next level, get your education paid for, and keep playing. So, for everyone here at the Solano College Sports Network, we want to thank you for watching this year. We also want to thank all of our students who have done such a great job. Make sure we've got the top 10 plays coming up as soon as we sign off. You want to watch those. But after, make sure you watch the credits. Chance to meet all of the great students we have here working on the Solano College Sports Network.
And before we wrap up, I just want to say one thing. Miami Heat going to three-peat. They're closing out tonight. You can book it. And the LA Kings will win the Stanley Cup. Book it.
No argument from me on either of those fronts. For everyone here at the Solano College Sports Network, we want to thank you for watching. And remember, here at SCSN, it's more than just sports. It's an education.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Laguerre, Superintendent President of Solano Community College. Thank you for watching the Solano College Sports Network.
Lundy has the ball. Lundy trying to get some separation. She drives, puts up the floater, gets it to go with no time left. Wow. And that is the end of the first half, and we are tied at 36, and what a first half it's been.
Goes to 1-1.
And you got to find a way to capitalize in those run-scoring situations here. And also got to tip your cap to the pitching, too.
Oh, hot shot comes back. Everton Kay, look at she's feeling it.
Yeah, baby.
She's feeling it.
Look what I found.
Olé.
Look at her. You can
Good
see
shot
it.
over there.
That's a great shot. That's awesome. Right? There's been a lot of TPNs here today.
Can't knock it down, but she gets her own rebound. What a hustle play. Up and under, and one for Taylor Hamilton. TP3, have yourself a game.
And even the one that was laid down, it was pretty low in the zone.
Oh, and gets a hold of this one. It's going down left field line, and that baby is gone. A 3-run home run for Trevor Faulkner. You can put her on the board, yes.
Swings at the first pitch. Shallow left. Going to be a tough play. Dive and attempt, and the catch is made. Haley Wink. I just got a sound effect for you. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. SC top 10 right there. Getting dirty. Haley pulling out the eye wink out in left field. Big time.
That could have been a na-na-na. Stolen away. Sandy puts up the 3.
Deep.
Oh! Mighty ball!
The half.
The bank is open for Ryan Sandy to cut this lead down to 3 going into the half. He probably could have went in there with a triple. Possibly could have got him to hit the cutoff, but he has good wheels over there.
Maybe got him a little scared. If he hit the cutoff, he might have thrown on the brakes to the stop sign over at third.
Oh, and this one's ripped. And
Nice
wow!
play by T.J. Morris, diving to his right.
Na-na-na.
This is biggest situation of the game so far. Bases loaded, 2 down 5-2.
And she's flied out twice today, making good contact with the ball, so she's due.
She can swing the lumber.
Yeah, she ripped the ball last time, right at the shortstop.
And this was poked to the left center field.
Look at
it's
that.
going back, and one hustles the ball. 1 runs in, 2 runs are in. Coming home, and we got a tie ball game as Shannon Messes clears the bases with an RBI double, makes it into the third, and we got ourselves a ball game, folks.
There you see Gio Torres.
3-1, hit up the middle, and that one drops, and we have ourselves a walk-off. Jacob Pavlowski. Hey, Coach, you're yelling at me before the inning? Now let's celebrate.
How you like me now, baby?
Jam! Kalen. He's a killer.
Oh! And everybody got up.
Oh!
And one.
Jamari Moss with the dunk and one. Oh, my
Oh,
God.
my. Everybody got up on that one.
Woo!
Play of the game
Play of the
so
game.
far.
Izzy on the beat.